Dear viewers, welcome to yet another episode of Your Life, Your Money. When we deal with financial matters, often we come in contact with different conflicts in life. One of such conflicts is dealing with your friends and relatives. Money is a sensitive topic. Relatives is a sensitive topic. How do we strike a balance between these two? How should we conduct ourselves in our money matters when we have to deal with our friends and relatives? I'm going to discuss this topic in this episode. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I'm Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Day in and day out, we have to deal with our friends and relatives. Money is part of our life. Obviously, when we are interacting with our friends and relatives, the money matters somewhere it gets clubbed with. Unless we follow a particular hygiene rule when it comes to question of money, it can result in complicated situations in life. When I talk about friends and relatives, who all are included in this? Number one is your parents, your children, your siblings, your colleagues, your friends, your classmates or schoolmates. All these people are included in this. Day in and day out, you come in contact with them, you interact with them, and you get a chance to discuss various topics. Sometimes the money matters also get clubbed with it. Here is something which you have to keep in mind when you have to discuss the money matters with these people who are important in your life. One of the principles that I have followed, or once I have not followed and become a victim of this, is when you deal with money matters with these people who are important in your life, you should ask how important this relationship is for you. If you think this relationship is very important to me, under no circumstance I can lose this relationship, then the best method to follow is do not bring money matters into it. Keep the relationship and money matters two different things. If that relationship is extremely important, it is a hygiene rule for you to see that the money matter does not come into that relationship. Whoever it could be a parent, it could be a children, it could be a siblings, friends, anyone. Clearly bifurcate. Don't bring money matters. Under some circumstances, if you have to bring money matters into it, there are certain rules and regulations. I'll tell you how you can follow and how you can maintain a hygiene around that. Why do I say you should not combine your money and relationships together? One thing is very certain. When you bring money into a relationship, there will be a double loss. The loss is, one, you stand to lose money, or as well as when you lose money, the relationship will also go out of the window. It is impossible that you get into a financial problem with your relative and you maintain a normal relationship. That's not possible. Maybe you could be magnanimous, you may forgive him, but the person on the other side will not have a normal relationship with you. So if you think the relationships are very important for you, it is better you avoid dealing in money matters in such relationships. So if we decide that we'll not bring money matters into relationship which are important to us, then how do we conduct ourselves in this society? One of the principles that guides, or I have followed, or I advise is always discharge your obligations and responsibilities. But do not go beyond that. Do not discuss your financial matters with someone. They need not know what you earn. They need not know what wealth you have. They need not know what investments you make. They need not know what kind of financial dealings you have with the rest of the world. That is beyond the scope of relationship with your friends and relatives. Maintain clear demarcation. Let me explain this a little bit more in detail. I told you that we have to discharge our financial obligations and responsibilities. They look to be the similar words, but there is a difference between the two. An obligation is a must-do thing. A responsibility is a voluntary thing that you can do, or you may just shirk your responsibility. You need not discharge. It says the good relationship or good human behavior or good etiquette says you discharge your responsibilities. But it is not an obligation that you must do it. At times, it may not be possible for you to discharge your responsibilities. That could be fine if you are able to clearly define why you are not able to discharge the responsibility. Where does the obligations come? Obligations primarily come with respect to your family. Let's say that you have children. It's your obligation to take care of your children. They have to be funded for their education during their early years, schooling days, nursery days, high school days, probably during the college, undergraduate level. But beyond that point, it's also the responsibility of your adult child to see alternate means of funding the education. So an obligation can turn into a responsibility at that stage. Your child could be going to a top class. Your financial means may not be sufficient enough to fund that education. Your child can take an education loan. So it looks like an obligation, but many times it can go towards the responsibility. So if it is an obligation, you must discharge. Likewise, you have an obligation towards your parents as well. Suppose if your parents have spent a lot of money on your education and in that process they did not build a retirement corpus enough, then it becomes your obligation to refund that money back to your parents in one or the other form so that they'll not have a troubled retired life. That becomes an obligation. Likewise, when your parents become old, sick, need support, it becomes your obligation to support them. So this is a part of your obligation. There are cases, in case of children, for example, if a child becomes dependable for circumstances beyond your control, it could be physically challenged children or victim of certain circumstances, then it can become an obligation and you have to discharge responsibilities towards these obligations without saying no to it. You must do that. That's your primary duty. You can't shirk from that. When it comes to question of siblings, most of the time it becomes like a responsibility. In some families there are brothers and sisters, they would have lost their parents. It becomes the responsibility of the elder children to take care of their siblings. But once they become adult, once they become independent, then you don't have a great deal of obligation for such siblings. When it comes to question of friends, it's mostly the responsibilities are not financial in nature, but helping your friend, helping them if they have some events in the family. That kind of a responsibilities will come. There will not be financial responsibilities which will be coming on you. Now let us look at how the money gets mingled with relationship. At some point or the other, everyone will go through this particular problem. Whether it's a parent, whether it is a child, whether it is friends, it will happen. Somebody will ask you to stand as a guarantor. They may not ask you to pay money for them, but they'll say, I'm trying to take a loan. Can you stand as a guarantor? This is a tricky situation. It becomes a tricky situation because of two reasons. Once you stand as a guarantor to them, if they default, the responsibility of clearing loan comes on you. It looks to be a very benign thing when you're standing as a guarantor. It does not involve money at this point of time. Either an intentional default by the person who is drawing the money, or because of the circumstances which are getting out of his control, he is not able to pay back. As a guarantor, it becomes your responsibility. When you stand as a guarantor, what banks do is they take a personal guarantee of you. A personal guarantee is very dangerous. A personal guarantee says, let's say you have given land as a collateral to bank, your responsibility is that you might lose that land in case if the person defaults. But if you stand as a personal guarantor, then if the land is not sufficient enough to clear the dues of the borrower, then they can ask you to pay from your other resources. Could be your salary, could be your liquidation of other assets. They can come and attach any of your other assets. So do not stand as a guarantor. When somebody comes and tells you, can you stand as a guarantor, it becomes a very tricky situation. The person on the other side is somebody who is very close to you. Somebody you find it very difficult to say, outrightly say no to it. The best way is to ask him, what is this guarantee for? What is my responsibility on this? What could be the maximum impact of this? Ask these questions. And if you are not able to get a clearance that, okay, it's too big, he's taking a business loan or he's taking a housing loans for crores together, or if there could be something else which becomes, you feel that we are very uncomfortable, you can just say, I need to discuss with this my wife. You can say, I need to discuss this with my family. You can also say, if you think it is too big and you can't do it, then you can say, my job conditions say I can't stand as a guarantor to someone else. You can come with any reason. You can just say, don't give your answers immediately. You say, I have to think and act on it. By that method, you can avoid standing as a guarantor. Then the other problem that comes is, now you have stood as a guarantor to him. Tomorrow, if you have to take a loan, that will also play on your mind. I have stood as a guarantor to him. Now it is his obligation to stand as a guarantor to me. That can happen. So avoid this kind of situation. Politely refuse to stand as a guarantor or evaluate your financial exposure. If something were to really go wrong, can I handle this situation? If your friend has taken a personal loan for 25,000 and you standing as a guarantor, the maximum impact could be 25,000 rupees and the interest portion. And your financial means says that yes, if something were to go wrong, I can handle it. It's okay. But don't make your friend habitual to ask you to stand as a guarantor every time. You say, I can do it only once, but I can't do it. And again, you keep giving him some reasons that you can't do this because of your family reasons, because of your employment. Give him some reasons to walk out of this. There is another way people ask you for help. For example, they ask you money. I need some amount of money. It could be small amount, it could be big amount, it could be anything. Again, it becomes very tricky. When somebody shamelessly asks you for money, how do you say no? He could be your friend, he could be your brothers, sisters. You have to handle it in a very polite way. Let's say somebody asked you for 1,00,000 rupee as a hand loan. How do you deal with it? The best thing to do it is reduce the amount. If the relationship is very important to you, you reduce the amount. He asked you for 1,00,000 rupee, you just say that I have some issues right now, I don't have money, but at the same time I don't like to say no to you. Maybe give him 10,000 rupees. Now it is well within your means that if something goes wrong, you don't have to worry about. Likewise, when you give the money, mentally be prepared that you will not spoil this relationship because of this money and you will not ask him again. If he is a gentleman, he has to come back and give back this money to yourself. On your account, you better write it off. Normally, this is what happens. When you give the money will not come back. And you try to ask him, it will spoil the relationship. When you give money, it is obvious that your loss is twofold. One, the money that you are given. Second, the relationship you wanted to maintain with him, that is gone. If he does not give back the money to you, then you are very safe that he will not come back and ask you for the second time. At the same time, because of that guilt within him, he will also not come back to you. It could be a close friend. Because he can't give back the money to you, he will not have a normal relationship with you. So it is best you avoid. And if somebody asks you the money, you give some reasons or give a small amount of money, give it one time and mentally be prepared that you will not ask for this money nor this money will come back to you. Money matters with your parents. As I said, if you are somebody who just started your job, it's your obligation to refund the money that you have taken from your parents for your higher education. Whether they have asked for it or not, whether they can afford it or not, whether they're financially very secure or not, it's a gentleman's way of giving this money back to your parents. You cannot give them many times as that I'm refunding this money. You can gift a pension plan for them. You can give them a very good health insurance. But discharge your responsibility. It makes you a gentleman. It makes you a responsible person. You feel very happy that I have done this. You do this. But you need not tell your parents what salaries you are getting. You need not tell your parents what investments you have made. You are an adult today. You are independent of your parents. You need not discuss this with your parent. If you have a very cordial relationship, if you are very sure that your parent does not misuse this information, you can disclose this. But I would suggest it is better if you do not discuss this with your parent. I have seen during my practicing career, while we say a large majority of parents will not create any trouble for the children, you can almost say this for sure. But equally true is there are a good amount of parents who will milk their children. You ask people who are working in the Gulf region, they'll tell you the stories of how parents or the siblings milk these people who are working in the Gulf. They know that they earn a better amount of salary. I won't say that they earn a great amount of salary because they're living in another country. And everybody back home thinks my son is living there, my brother is living there, my sister is living there. For every of the requirement in life, they start squeezing these people out. So it is very essential that you withhold this information from your parents or siblings or children. What monies you earn or what is your financial situation, it should be held back. So just don't be under the impression that because they are members of your family, you disclose everything. And once they know that you have got so much of your money and you have got things, you just can't walk away. You will fall into a trap. So it is better you maintain that hygiene and don't discuss this with your parents also. Likewise, in case of children, if you have grown up children have become independent, now they have a job. As a retiree, maintain hygiene. Your retirement corpus is for you. It is not there for your children to buy a house. It is not to fund the business startups of your children. It is not to fund the car that they buy from your case. You may not find it easy to ask money to your children. And tomorrow, if your children do not have a job or they get into a financial difficulties, or if there is a problem in the marriage where the husband says one thing, the wife says another thing, and because of which your relationship with your children can get spoiled. So as a parent, you should also maintain the hygiene not to disclose what you have, what is your financial means and other things with your children. You maintain records of what assets you have got. Do a will and record it. Keep it at a safe place. That's a different thing. But disclosing each and everything with your parent that I have got 3 crores of my retirement corpus is asking for trouble. When your children ask for some specific help, you can't say no to them. If you say no to them, that will result in severing of relationship. It could be your daughter or it could be your son. But nobody likes to get an answer no when a request has come. So maintain hygiene there too. If you are a son or a daughter, maintain hygiene with your parent. If you are a parent, maintain that hygiene with your children as well. Dear viewers, I know that you are all watching my videos every Friday and every Tuesday. How many of you have really subscribed? Your subscription matters for us. We give you 2 videos every week. Every Tuesday, an expert comes and speaks on topics of importance for you. Every Friday, I share my thoughts on your life, your money. Please hit that subscribe button now and press the bell icon. Do not miss these value-filled videos as and when they release. So it's time you click the subscribe button right now. Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand how should be your conduct of money matters with your friends, relatives and your inner circle. If it did give you a direction, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. Please do share these videos with your friends and relatives, near and dear ones. I shall be back with you next Friday with yet another episode of Your Life, Your Money. Till then, stay safe. Jai Hind.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.